The US dollar continues to strengthen, approaching the peak of late November last year. Investors are buying the US dollar on expectations that the Fed will keep interest rates high. In addition, elevated oil prices may spur inflation, forcing the central bank to make another rate hike. In general, the US dollar has no reason to drop besides its overbought, and we will discuss whether the US currency will find reasons for a correction during the remaining trading session this week. So inflation will be under the spotlight this week. Apparently, it has nothing to do with the rise in oil prices. On Thursday, Germany will release its preliminary consumer price index for September, and the forecast is quite optimistic. Inflation is expected to slow down to 4.6%, posting a significant decline. If the forecast comes through, the European currency will likely see bearish pressure. Investors will see that the Eurozone Central Bank is likely to continue its dovish rhetoric and may well reconsider their forecast for a rate cut, moving the time into the near future. Meanwhile, the European economy needs a rate cut. Investors will likely sell the euro as the US economy is showing resilience despite the high interest rate. On Thursday, the final estimate of the growth rate of the US economy will be released, which predicts a growth of 2.1% in the second quarter. The majority of the Federal Open Market Committee is hawkish, assuming the markets that the Fed will have to continue raising interest rates. On Thursday, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell will speak at an event with the indicators in Washington. Markets are waiting for hints about the further steps of the US Central Bank. Meanwhile, Powell is expected to repeat everything expressed by his colleagues, strengthening the US dollar. The European Central Bank will likely take a different stance. Christine Lagarde, who is extremely cautious in her speeches, recently said that the Eurozone regulator needed to pay attention to the economy rather than the inflation rate. And this was the first hint of a policy easing. Such an unexpected message, the euro saw a major sell-off. In her speech on Friday, Lagarde is unlikely to repeat her words, but the euro will still be under bearish pressure. Friday will see the release of the Eurozone's preliminary inflation report for September. Following Germany, the European Union inflation is projected to decelerate sharply to 4.5% on a yearly basis. And notably, the inflation target for the Eurozone is set at 2%. Such a rapid decline may reinforce hopes that the ECB will postpone the rate cut to the beginning of next year. The trading week will end with a very important release that describes the outlook for the US economy as accurately as possible. Notably, two-thirds of the US GDP is made up of consumer spending. On a Friday, markets will assess US personal spending in August, and the forecast is rather gloomy. Lately, US statistics have been better than expected. The Friday report may surprise investors, reinforcing the US dollar's quotes. We will monitor the market reaction to the above-mentioned reports. Subscribe to the channel and follow changes in market sentiment with us. Any comments, questions, and offers are welcomed. We wish you profitable trading and see you soon.